Hey, this is a quick demo of LastLogin. So we're starting out here on the IndieBits forums. This is a forum just for a few different projects, mostly having to do with self-hosting, decentralization, whatnot. This is also where you can go to get support for LastLogin itself. But we're just going to demo the login here. So if you come here, you see that we have a couple different options. You have the typical Google and GitHub, which has the flow that you're familiar with. I'm going to go ahead and click out here to cancel this account creation. But what we're interested in is this third option, which is LastLogin. So if you come over here, this is sort of the first time you've never been on the website before. This is what it'll show you. And it's telling you the name of the app that wants to log you in. And then it's saying you need to add some identities here to do this. Generally for user experience, the quickest thing is just to use a provider, an upstream provider that you already are logged into. So for example, I'm already logged into Google on here. I can go like that. And now I have this Google Gmail address that's been provided that I can use as an identity to log into the forums. And you may notice this is exactly the same Gmail address that I ended up with when I logged in with Google directly. If we go back to LastLogin, now you can see that it remembers that we used this for this service, and it also tells you the last date which you used it on. Let's say we want to add another identity with GitHub. Authorize that. So now we have two different identities that we can use, and it remembers which one you used for this particular service. Let's say we want to switch to the GitHub email address. Again, we'll cancel the account creation, but we go back, and now it remembers both of them. It remembers which one we used most recently. One thing to point out here is a nice feature of logging in with GitHub is that you can actually, it'll use your primary GitHub email address, so you can use any email address you want, whereas with Gmail, you're pretty much always going to be stuck with a Gmail account with Google. This highlights an interesting privacy feature of LastLogin, which is, generally speaking, when you log in with one of these upstream social login providers, they don't know what app you're logging into. They only know that you're logging into LastLogin. They don't know about the IndieBits forums. However, if you use Google and it gives the forums your Gmail address and then the forums send you an email, then Google can figure out that obviously you're using those forums. Whereas if you use your own email address with a provider that you trust, such as Proton Mail or maybe Fastmail, then it gives you a lot greater assurances. I would recommend setting up your own domain name with your email if you have the ability to do that. Okay, so this kind of shows the upstream providers, which is the simplest way of using LastLogin, but it's not necessarily the most privacy preserving way, depending on some of the things I was just talking about. So what you can do is you can directly verify an email address. So I'm going to put that in and then come over to my phone, open up my email app, and it has sent me a code. Now if I verify that, I've proven that I have access to this email address, and I can now use that to log in, just like with the others. And of course, when we go back here, you can see that this one has now been used. So I think this pretty much gives an idea of the basic features and whatnot. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them over here on the forums. Thanks a lot.